to full power!
Gives me the creeps. I feel like something's watching us.
Mr. Savick, you go right on quoting regulations.
Hello, computer.
I knew I would.
You betrayed your uniform!
Target their cargo hold. Time to take out the garbage.
Smooth as an android's bottom, eh, Data?
I beg your pardon, sir?
Aspires to be better than I
Come on. It's gonna be fun. 5 years in space. God help me.
This is the best day of my life!
A phaser? You didn't use it?
Swords are fun.
Program complete. Enter when ready.
Welcome back to another Retrek review, where each week we talk about Star Trek. And this week, we're talking about episode 10 of Star Trek The Next Generation. And that episode is entitled Hide and Q. It originally aired November 23rd, 1987. It was a teleplay by C.J. Holland. Interesting. And Gene Roddenberry. It was a story by C.J. Holland. It was directed by Cliff Bole, who also directed Lonely Among Us.
Oh, yeah.
The guest stars for Hide and Q were John Delancey as Q, William A. Wallace as an age 25 Wesley Crusher,
Oh, my God, yeah.
and Elaine Nolly as female survivor, which was the lady that talked to Crusher when they were on the planet, who was all burned and like laying there.
Oh, yeah, right. But who plays the Klingon lady? That's what I need to know.
Faith Minton
Nice.
as female Klingon.
Hey.
The synopsis for Hyde and Q is Q returns to the Enterprise, testing Commander Riker by giving him the power of the Q. So that is the introduction. But before we move on to subscribers and comments, let's go over to Caleb and ask Caleb what he thought of the episode.
Well, not a fan. Yeah, I guess I really don't enjoy the Q storylines.
Sure.
The first one I enjoyed,
Mhm.
you know, with the court scene and all that kind of stuff. It was good. But, like, I knew he would come back in an episode, and he's just, I don't know. I mean, I know he's supposed to be this annoyance to the Enterprise and to Picard, because it's like he shows up, like, at the worst time.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know. He claims to be this all like powerful, like alien species, but then he just like messes with their time and, you know, just he's just irritating.
Yeah.
So he doesn't really have a purpose. He wants to just play games, and it's like, dude.
Yeah, he just
I don't
wants
know.
to be a jerk. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the point. So, like, I'm not holding that against him because that's what he's supposed to be like. But this episode feels very TOS-y to me. Like,
Yes, it does.
like I could see this happening to Kirk and Spock and McCoy.
Yes.
You could just swap out these characters with any other characters.
Yes.
I mean, it's fine. I just don't enjoy.
Yeah.
I just don't enjoy Q, so it makes me want it to be over sooner. But like always, there's parts of it that I do enjoy. So
Sure.
I'm just gonna give it a Roddenberry. Just
Wow.
right in the middle. I mean,
That's
I don't. Yeah.
I thought you were going to give it a Kaplan, but
No, I don't know. It's not horrible. We've seen worse this season.
well, that's okay. I mean, as a person who's like grown up with Next Generation, I'm very used to Q and the whole concept of him and just the whole gimmick of what he is. But I could totally understand your perspective that, like, sure, you get it, but like he's more annoying than interesting.
Yeah. And it's one of those things too. It's just like I know he's coming back
Sure.
again, you know.
Yes. Yes.
I know I'll see him again. It's like by the second time that we see like Cyril Jones,
Mm-hmm.
it would be like, well, in 4 more episodes, we're gonna see Cyril again. It's like, no, there's got to be other stories to tell. There's got to be other stuff.
Well, I think I'm safe in saying you won't see him for the rest of season 1.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. I think the only reason the fandom in general likes him is because of later episodes.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I look forward to seeing if it's different. I feel like Picard when he shows up, like, not now, Q.
Okay, yeah, we had a couple new subscribers, but again, I can't see them, but that doesn't matter. Yes, thank you for subscribing anyways.
Kapla.
But we did have a comment on our battle episode, and it was from EdStar2185. And he brought up this funny thing that because creating a TV show has great appeal, but the production side of it is like an assembly line ruled by deadlines and money. He said that Next Generation sort of falls into the same thing as the original series, where to save resources, they would use things like quote unquote plot on a shelf or story helper, where creators use standard ideas common in entertainment. And he goes, the battle feels like a contrived storyline using the Ferengi as antagonists. This episode is just filler to me, something quick and easy thrown together just to keep to the production schedule. And then he calls it like sci-fi Bisquick. That was pretty good.
Yeah, that is pretty good.
Yeah, he says this is the good bad nature of formula TV. Sometimes you wait a whole season for that one gem of an episode.
Mm-hmm.
So we appreciate your comments, EdStar. We appreciate other people's comments. We may get some as time goes on, and we look forward to reading them either next week or down the line. But now it's time to get into the review. Before the intro, the thing I thought was interesting. I liked that Beverly uses the Wallcom panel to like communicate with the bridge, but I did think it was kind of strange that she didn't use her comm badge.
Yeah,
when she was walking.
that was weird. Riker says something weirdly.
Hmm.
He comes onto the bridge and he's like, Captain, I have those things. It's almost something like he says, like, I have those briefings for you. It's like, what?
I didn't catch it.
I gotta find it.
Okay.
You just continue. I'll let you know when I get it.
Okay. This is the thing that kind of irritated me was like Q shows up on the bridge and he's talking and then they cut and it's like they specifically film it and cut it and write it to be like this, where Worf takes charge
Exactly.
and not Tasha.
Yeah, who's in charge of security again?
Right. And they even film Denise Crosby like looking over at Worf as if like she's seeing what he's doing, and she sees him like whip his phaser out, and she's like, they kind of write her to be like, oh yeah, great idea.
Yeah.
I was like, that's so stupid. I don't get it.
It's really bad. Okay. I got it.
Okay.
He says
Okay.
he says schematics, right? That's the word.
Yeah.
He comes in on the bridge and he says, Captain, I have those schematics for you.
Oh no.
Like legitimately says schematics.
Captain, I have a schematic from the explosion site. suggests the cause may be a methane-like gas seeping in from underground.
He legitimately says ski-matic. I have those ski-matics for you.
He seemed like he had some difficulty in the first season getting through his lines. So
He's just a drunk, you know.
Jonathan Frakes is well documented as being a lush on the set
Yep.
of Next Generation.
Absolutely. You're going to deny me my powers? Yeah, so that was very funny. I picked up on that like immediately because he does say things weirdly sometimes, you know?
He certainly does.
Yeah, and then Q was like, "Oh, so you accept my form as a space snake,
Yeah.
but not as a human?" It's like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Cool.
Not now, Q. So, intro's over, come back from commercial break, and I know you don't, but I enjoyed the Picard and Q banter back and forth at this point. Picard's like, oh, he's like, we'll do whatever you want, just let us continue on our way. And he's like, no, I'm not gonna do that. And he's like, come on, let me. He's just like, no, nah.
Yeah. Yeah, he's like, "Hey, so like after we get this done, we'll come back and do whatever you want, you know?"
Yeah.
And I think this is when I started to be annoyed because here they are like on a rescue mission. And the first time we see Q, his whole thing is that like humans are savages. They don't care about each other. Their
Right.
history is terrible. And now here they are on this like rescue mission to like help people, and he's like, "Nah. Mm-mm. No, your time with me is much more important. I'm very bored." It's
Right.
like, no, I thought his whole thing was like observing humans to see if they've changed and if they'll be better in the future. I thought that was his whole thing. Not like wasting their time to like play some stupid game.
Yeah, basically the feeling that you get is that he showed up, he screwed around with them, he went and reported to the Q Continuum like about them, and they were like, "Oh, interesting." I think there's like a novelization of this, and I think originally the Q Continuum was like go back and make Picard a Q, and then when Q gets back there, he's like, "No, I'm gonna make Riker a Q." Just to just to screw with Picard, basically.
Yeah.
It's
Ever since our encounter at Farpoint.
The thing that made me laugh is when he says, he keeps saying it to him. I forget what he says, but it was like, turn the ship around, Q. And he's like, turn the ship around, Q. Or whatever.
Yeah, what was it? I like how he keeps calling Worf Microhead.
He calls him Microhead, Microbrain. He's got some good
Seized my vessel.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah.
You again seized my vessel. And that angered you, did it? Seized my vessel, seized my vessel. Does no one here understand your incredible good fortune? Seized my vessel.
Seized my vessel. Yes, that's what it is.
I like how he shows up and he's like, Admiral Q reporting for duty. And he's like, "You're not an admiral." And he's like, "Oh, oh, you think you're so smart? Then I'll just be a French general."
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It was really funny to me that to have literally anything be French. And I get like he says he borrows it from your stodgy mind or whatever. But I was like, it's weird to have anything be French after mentioning that France doesn't exist.
Yeah, that doesn't exist anymore. It's gone. And everybody was just like, "Oh, cool, French stuff." And it's like, wouldn't they be like, "What is this stuff?" I don't understand.
Right.
I was just thinking about a nice cold glass of lemonade. Delicious.
What an excellent thirst quencher. I started to write in this end. So they're all standing there. He's got them down on the planet in front of the tent. And then Tasha's like, enough of this, or whatever she says. And then he's like, I can't stand it. Penalty. And he gets rid of her. And I was like, are you kidding me?
And the audience rejoiced.
Well, I was thinking more like, are you kidding me? Like, she finally does one thing, and it's just like, no, get the woman off the planet as quickly.
You've gone too far.
Like we have Worf down here. We don't need her. Just get her gone. And I started to write like how annoying it is that like it's clear that like they don't want to use Tasha. But then they cut back to the bridge
Uh-huh.
and she's on the bridge and I was like, "Oh, okay." And then I wasn't gonna talk about it in trivia, but then I learned that something happened to Marina Sirtis, like something last minute, so she was unavailable for the episode.
Oh.
And so they just made Tasha do Troy's parts on the bridge, which is why Tasha doesn't feel like Tasha when he comes up and he's like, "Oh, why am I crying?" and all this stuff. It was supposed to be a Deanna Troy.
Oh, Deanna's not even in this episode.
Right. It's supposed to be Deanna. But she wasn't there, so they did it with all Tasha stuff.
The whole like penalty box is the ship, and Picard is in the penalty box too, with nobody on the ship. But you can't have more people in the penalty box. It's a very weird concept. And then Q goes onto the ship and he's like, "Oh, fraternizing with females in the penalty box." He's like, "What are you talking about?"
You're learning, Caleb, that none of his rules matter or make sense.
Yeah.
That was the commercial return.
I like when Worf pours out the drink.
Yeah. Throws the glass. Do not drink with thine enemies. Yeah. I liked Q as Data. That was kind of interesting.
That was interesting. Yeah, I'll give you that. I liked the Ugnaught Civil War soldiers. Those were good.
Yeah. Okay. You mean the Geico caveman soldiers?
Yep. Know them well.
Know them well.
Some sort of man beast.
Animal things.
Yeah, because we're in the world of Star Trek where there's aliens that serve aboard the Enterprise, but I don't know what the heck these things are. Some sort of animal creature things.
I love it.
You mean aliens? How Worf runs over and like spies on the encampment, and then when he sees their face, he's like, "Oh God!" And
he runs all the way back.
Oh yeah.
Riker tests his phaser, and then he leaps out, and he's like, "Drop your weapon!"
This whole sequence too, like when they come back to the planet, and Gordy's just like, "Well, he's making up some good distance. He's going pretty quick,
yeah.
you know." And it's just like, as the audience, we're like, "What? I don't understand, like what they're doing." Hugh hasn't explained the game. He hasn't explained the rules. He keeps talking about the game and the rules. Hasn't explained either. Nope. And now Worf is like running away on this planet, and then we see him, and there's like, okay, so there's an encampment of like soldiers. Right. But still, like, I don't understand, like, what is the game? What are we doing?
The game is surviving. That's it.
Oh, right. Because he does say,
yeah,
if it's fair, if you're fair, we'll survive if it's fair. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's it. Like, that's the whole gimmick. And really, it's meaningless because this is what it is he gives Riker the powers of the Q.
Right.
Like the whole point. It's like the game is just like a distraction.
Use your power.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I like how the thought never crossed their mind that they somehow could have old style guns, but they're actually phasers. Like that thought never never crossed their mind, you know. He was like very powerful, but they're like, they have old style musket guns with black powder. Like, come on.
It also was funny too, because I was thinking, like, man, Roddenberry must have like hate French people or something, because like they have all these quote unquote French soldiers, and then you go to look at them and they're just like these weird, I don't know, wrinkled, bearded men. And you're like, okay. And it's like, yeah, you don't want to put just normal, you don't want to make it just normal French soldiers fighting on this planet. It's like, we're gonna make them like really weird looking, and then have everybody be like, ugh, they're gross,
and they smell too.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know if someone in his family was assaulted by a Frenchman, or weird, very weird.
Well, we're at the halfway point, so you can go down to the comment section and you can write ugly Frenchman. That's what you can. Yeah,
ugly.
Yeah, so come back from commercial break, and I thought Data's line about he's like, Data, report to me what you saw, and he's like, they were some sort of animal thing, but they were aesthetically displeasing, so I'll just file a report. And he's just like, what?
Like,
Just like, oh, okay.
uh-huh.
Thanks, Data.
Captain, you don't want me to describe what these things look like, trust me.
So my question to you, I know you don't like Q himself, but
Yeah.
were you surprised to see like Riker get powers and then kind of act like Q?
I wasn't surprised that he acted like Q after the fact. I did think it was interesting that he gave him the powers. And they kind of set it up because it's like he keeps telling Picard, like, I'm gonna give him something he can't refuse. No, it was kind of cool.
Just thought it was interesting. I personally felt like they wrote Riker pretty well, like when he gets these things and like as they play it out, like it kind of feels like what would really happen in a situation if
Yeah.
you literally had the ability to do like literally anything,
Yeah.
that eventually that would kind of like slowly go to your head because
Yeah.
you could just do whatever.
I think like everything in Star Trek, it kind of gets resolved pretty quickly and
That's
not satisfyingly.
yeah, that's kind of the suck, but yeah.
With the concept of him, still kind of being himself and promising the captain, like, yeah, I'm not going to use him. Like, I don't want anything to do with Q. And then he's in a situation where it's like, yeah, he could have saved somebody. Now he's kind of resentful. And then I like when Picard is like, if you notice, like, we're on a first name basis now.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like, it was good.
Yeah, exactly.
I haven't changed. You've all changed.
Yeah. Yeah, yes. I actually thought after the whole Q thing and then Picard talks to him and is like, listen, you can't like you got to not use these powers. It's too much of a temptation. And it's
Yeah.
obvious that that's like what Q is banking on, is like you kind of falling for this. And I really honestly liked when we get to the commercial break and then they're down on the planet and they're going through and all these people are injured and stuff. And
Oh, the
Data's
actual
like,
planet.
yeah, and he's like pulling the rubble away and they find that little girl.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, she's dead. And it's just like, oh wow, okay. And they just kind of linger. And then Data's like, well, if you probably can bring her back.
He's
I
like,
actually
I
thought that,
can't.
yeah,
Because a promise is more important than a life.
that's right.
Obviously, Data. I like that you can tell that like the rubble is just like styrofoam.
Oh yeah.
But clearly like Gordy's, he's helping like remove stuff and he's just like pretending that it's heavy. And then Data just walks over and starts chucking these giant things. It was pretty good.
Yeah, it was pretty funny, right? Yeah. Well, I think it's a short one, but it's time for trivia.
Oh, not again. All right, now you're overacting.
So I went through like the whole section and there were little tidbits here and there, but a lot of it was like, this is the first time this happens. This is the first time this happens. Like, and I was like, that's not really that interesting, especially for Caleb. It's like, yeah, it is the first time because it's like, yeah, whatever.
Did you know this is the first time that Riker gets like god powers?
Right. And it was
Yeah. Yeah, I did.
like one of them was like, this is the first time we see a female Klingon in Next Generation. And I was like, yeah.
Yeah, I've also been watching the show.
But so here's the thing. I'm sorry to all the fans out there and Caleb, but here's the reality of it. So this episode represented Maurice Hurley's first contribution to Next Generation. So Maurice Hurley was a writer-producer for the show, and he was brought in to be, another writer for the series. And then him and another person went on to become the head writers of Next Gen.
Okay.
And basically removed DC Fontana and
Oh,
David Gerrold, who were like the writers of original series and some of like the best original series episodes.
yeah.
So brought this guy in, and he ends up writing a handful of episodes. And Gene Roddenberry gave him the assignment as a rewrite. And here's the funny thing: Gene Roddenberry was so disappointed with this guy's work on the episode
Uh-huh.
that apparently, according to William Shatner Presents Chaos on the Bridge movie, he says that Gene Roddenberry ignored Maurice Hurley whenever they passed each other in the hallway at Paramount, which was about 4 or 5 times a day. And then, are you ready for the shocker?
Uh-huh.
The script was then rewritten by Roddenberry to such an extent that Maurice Hurley requested the pseudonym C.J. Holland to be used instead of his own name for the episode credits.
Man. The thing that I've learned about Star Trek is that the writing room is a very toxic,
Yes.
horrible place to be.
Yes. And I think if I remember correctly, the thing that I came across too was Maurice and another guy called Robert Lewin were brought in during the first season by Roddenberry's lawyer again, this Leonard
Uh-huh.
Maltzlich guy, who we fans understand that lawyer had absolutely no authority whatsoever to do that, but the studio just went along with it for whatever reason.
Huh. It's one of those things where it's like, so this is Roddenberry's story. It's his baby. But the
Yeah,
way he acted too is like
right.
you totally understand why the studio like got rid of him
Oh, totally.
because he was such a manipulative, like backstabber,
Yep.
like a little child. He's got his lawyer like hiring writers and doing things and rewriting stuff that like he shouldn't even be looking at.
Yeah, and like for some reason his like attorney has all of this power to like rewrite the show and like hire new writers and do all this stuff, and it's just like, why?
I don't know.
And it's like, and that's the thing. That was the thing I was saving to talk about was like, you're like, yeah, this is a little heavy-handed in the TOS realm, and the
Yeah,
answer is,
because
yeah, it's because
because
Roddenberry wrote
Roddenberry
it,
wrote it.
and he basically just made him another version of Trelane again, like just
Yeah,
another copy of Trelane.
yeah. Wow. So I was right on the money.
Yep.
I thought I
Yeah.
smelled Roddenberry's dirty fingers in this episode. The thing that sucks is that DC Fontana understands Star Trek more than Roddenberry ever
Yeah.
did, and
Right.
it's his thing, you know.
Right. Exactly.
So getting rid of her is awful.
Yeah, it's kind of one of the dumbest things to do.
Like even as the studio, you know,
Yep.
the studio getting rid of her is a really really lame.
I mean, even David Gerrold, who did like Trouble with Tribbles and a couple other episodes, I can't remember off the top of my head, but like he did a great job. He's fine.
Yeah. It's one of those things I get where it's a different time period now and stuff needs to change for a more modern audience. But, you know, I don't know.
But like at the same time, it's like we're just gonna do like slightly different ideas with a new crew.
Yeah. Yeah, that's super boring.
And I think for me
Well,
personally, the only reason I like a lot more of it and don't have a hard time with it is simply because I have future knowledge of Q, and
yeah.
this is the second time seeing him, and it's like all you see him as a pompous jerk who's
Yeah.
pretty much a copy of Trelane, and it's like, okay,
So as soon as Roddenberry is gone, Q turns into a better character.
pretty much. Like I said, a lot of the same things that make Q who Q are like doesn't change. Like his pompousness and his like kind of being a jerk doesn't change.
Yeah, well, that stuff is fine. It's
But
just he's so wishy-washy from what his morals were last time we saw him.
yes, he likes to throw monkey wrenches in. He'll change eventually. There's like I said, there's a couple episodes that come to my mind that are like really, really good with him.
Well, he gets punished at the end of this episode.
Yeah, his parents off screen punish him,
Yeah.
right? But Daddy, I was playing with my toys.
You, it's time for dinner.
Yeah.
I had him.
Right, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Come back from trivia. Our final and commercial break. And Riker's now giving gifts like to the senior staff.
So the whole Roddenberry thing really now explains why Q shows up as like a monk.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are they denying you your powers, brother?
I really like that Picard is like, no, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, feel free.
Feel free. And he's like, and then he says to the crew, like, if you feel like going along with it, great. It's your choice. And then they're all like, okay. And then Beverly's like, okay, Wesley.
Oh, get out of here. I know what you want, Wesley. You need to leave. You need to leave.
And then turns him into a
40-year-old man.
Yeah, who clearly
like, you're 10 years older now. Like, no, he's not.
No, he's not.
No, he's not.
You've changed who he is, and he's clearly like 30 years older.
You yeah, your timeline is bad because that's not 10 years.
Fans were I read online that fans were like, you should just that for the digital enhancement is just take Will Wheaton now.
His head.
And just put him in.
Oh, that would be funny too.
Like,
I was picturing just like a bigger body, but then they like CGI like little child Will Wheaton's head on.
Oh. That would be funny.
Sorry, Mom, I'm a grown up now.
Yeah. He can't go, adults.
Adults.
Now he is one.
Look at how beautiful my sweater has grown with me. That's what I like is they had to remake the sweater for one scene.
For one guy, yeah.
Yeah. Because he would still be wearing the same sweater, you know. That's how we as the audience know that it's the same person.
Right. That's how Riker would see it. Anyway.
Yeah.
You wouldn't put him in like
an actual uniform.
Yeah. To be like, look, Wesley, you're a man and you're a part of the crew.
Yeah. You're not an ensign anymore.
Right. Nope. You're in that romper. And then he goes over to Data. I like Data's line about the whole like, don't do it. Nope. Like I don't care. It's like I did like that. He's like, I get to Q and maybe you, Commander, it would be real, but it would never be real to me. Yeah. Yeah, that was really good. Like pleading with him not to do it, you know. Right. He's starting to see like the crumble of like, yeah. Just because people want stuff doesn't mean that they're gonna really give up other stuff for it, you know? Right. Like cheat to get it. Yeah. And then my favorite part happens, and it's not the Worf part. No. No. I can't stand I'm so sick. I'm so sick of her being this like amazingly hot sex symbol of the 80s. Like I'm just so sick of it. Oh my god, you're freaking beautiful. Oh, I've never seen anything so beautiful. It was hilarious because shut up. He gets his visor off. Yeah. And it's actually nice to see LeVar Burton just like it was cool. It's just like he's a nice looking guy, and it's like it was like, oh cool. I forgot that he's just so young and everything, because now when I see him, he's got that nice little pointy white beard and he's older, and so he looks out the view screen and he sees the planet, and it's just like, you know, it's kind of like yellowish green, and it's going by and he's looking at it, and I was thinking to myself like the beauty of space. Yeah, and for the first time seeing space in its majesty. And I don't remember if the show, if they touch on like he was born blind or if he gets something like a disease and it takes away his sight. I don't remember, but basically you're
Yeah.
probably led to believe that this is the first time he's seen
Anything
space,
ever.
planet, right? Yeah. And he slowly turns and I'm like, okay, it's fine. It's fine. He's looking.
Yeah, he's looking at his crew members, you know?
Yeah, and I get it. That makes perfect sense.
Uh-huh.
And then he gets to Tasha and he's like,
Holy oh, it was so I was just like, really?
That was so good. It was so
We're
good.
doing this. We're doing this, really. And then what makes this scene even funnier to me, then he gives Worf this like woman.
It's concubine.
Yeah. And I was like, now that's a woman. And it was like,
this is sex.
but it was just like, I don't know. I don't even want to talk about it, but it's just one of those things where it's just like,
oh yeah.
Wonder what would happen if Gordy had his eyesight for this one.
He'd still be looking at Tasha.
I just don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get the Tasha thing.
It's probably because Gene Roddenberry had the hots for her and just kept making sure that was written in any time.
Yeah, because he saw her naked once and he was like, oh wow.
Oh my god. And then that was it. Don't give anything to Picard. I like how Riker says, God, I feel like an idiot. And he's like, yes, and you should.
Well, you should, you stupid moron. I tell you to leave and get rid of your powers. I need you in this chair, number one.
I did like that part too. You said it is where he keeps calling him Jean-Luc, and then he's like, do you notice that we're like on the first name basis? And he's like that. And he's like, listen, number one. And then he pauses and he's like,
yeah.
Will.
Yeah.
That was good.
I forgot his name was Will.
Oh.
Will Riker, yeah.
Will Riker.
Because he always calls him number one and Riker.
Yeah.
You don't ever hear anybody call him Will.
That's right. Yeah, when he comes back on the Enterprise, he's like, it's still me. I'm the same William T. Riker, you know?
Yeah, William. Yeah, that's...
William.
Yeah. Like it was like, we need to have an emergency meeting. I don't like the way you all been treating me with my new powers. I also like when Picard's talking to him and he just like turns and walks away.
Oh, wow. Yes.
You're like, wow, he's off the deep end.
He's gone.
He's gone. He's out of his gourd.
Yeah. The one thing is it doesn't end great, but at least it doesn't end like TOS where it's all...
They all just laugh about it.
Yeah, it's not a big yuck. It just kind of falls flat. So
yeah.
I did like and dislike that at the same time.
Can you believe that with all my powers, I was going to destroy all of you? Yeah, and they all like fly away. Yeah. It's a pretty lame thing. It's like, so are they saying that like Picard doesn't want anything because he's happy just being captain of the Enterprise? Or, you know, because it's like Riker, like at that moment, Riker was like, oh, wow. I've been wrong this whole time.
I think he just came to the realization that like after you give it to Wesley and then you go to do it to Data and Data's like, please don't do this. And then you make Geordi see and Geordi's like, yeah, can you just make me blind again? And then you give Worf a woman and he's like, this isn't who I am. Like, this is gross and I'm not this person. Yeah. And then Wesley walks up and he's like, can you just make me turn me back into a 15-year-old boy? Because I want to do it the right way. I think he just was like, by the time he was going to do like Tasha and Picard, he was just like, and like Beverly, he was just like, this is stupid. Like, nobody is appreciating what I'm doing. Like, everybody hates it.
Yeah. I think that kind of resolved itself a little too easily, you know?
A little bit, yeah. But that's kind of like, sadly, I mean, that's just the writing of Gene Roddenberry. He just like...
Yeah. Oh, I know.
He likes to introduce all these highbrow concepts, which are fine.
And then solve them immediately with no ramifications of anything.
Right.
But you know what? That child is still dead. So there.
That's right. And that brings us to the end of the review. But before we end, let's do the thing everyone's been waiting for.
Caleb. 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 Caleb.
So, Caleb, who gets the Erica Ortegas Award for being the most unlikable?
Q.
Let me think about this.
Troy.
Yeah, not a hard one this week. But you said Troy, so maybe I should ask, who gets the Elizabeth Cutler Award for being the most forgettable?
Deanna. What did you find that in trivia? Like why she was not in the episode?
It just said that, like in the script, she was supposed to be in the story, and something else, and then she just suddenly wasn't in it, or she was. I think she was written out of it because I think there was something I read that Marina thought like she was being kicked off the show.
Jeez.
And so they just wrote her stuff to be Tasha's stuff, like on the bridge.
Yeah.
About the whole crying and all that. That was supposed to be Deanna, but they made it Tasha. And then
keep Tasha. I mean, she's amazing.
But then they quickly, really, really quickly wrote that intro thing where it's like, we dropped off Deanna so she could go home.
That's right.
Well, next is the Mugatu Award for the best alien of the episode.
It's got to be the pig Frenchmans.
Okay. I wasn't sure if you were gonna go along with like the energy ball snake thing.
Oh, no, I don't care about it.
Just because it was like kind of different from, like it's an alien and it looks really weird,
Oh, you know what we didn't even talk about?
Sure, tell me.
I really like when Wesley got stabbed.
Oh, wow. Yeah, we didn't talk about them getting Worf and Wesley both get stabbed.
Worf got stabbed. Wesley got stabbed. Pretty good.
Yeah. It's right through his gut. And then he's like, no.
Yeah.
Next is the Trip Tucker Award for being the MVP of the episode.
Probably Riker.
Ooh, nice. It was when he was doing all the Q stuff.
Yeah, it was when he was giving out all the gifts and stuff.
Sweets and candies.
Yeah.
A lot of weird stuff happens in that sequence, but I like that Picard lets it happen so that Riker can come to his own realization.
Yeah, I do like that.
It doesn't feel like Riker letting go of it and like moving on from it doesn't feel rushed. It's just the whole like, oh well, that didn't work. I guess you failed. See you later. Like that feels very rushed.
Yeah.
Next is the Spock Award for the best line of the episode.
I don't know.
You loved all of the Picard Shakespeare stuff to Q in his ready room.
It wasn't terrible. It's just more of that like Roddenberry highbrow, like, oh, isn't it cool he's quoting Hamlet?
Right.
Like, not really. That was 800 years ago in human history. They wouldn't still be quoting Hamlet and Shakespeare, but that's beside the point. There would have been like, I don't know if you know this, Roddenberry, but like in the past 400 years, like there probably would have been new philosophers,
right,
that they would be quoting,
Yeah.
Hamlet and Shakespeare. They don't have the same morals and views of the world that they do now.
Right.
Like everything he was quoting was like, oh, humankind is just nothingness and then you die and it's just pointless. And it's like, dude, we're space travelers now. Like they wouldn't hold on to these like.
Right.
Oh, so irritating. My favorite line of the episode is when Riker comes in and he says, I got those schematics.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Yeah. That's it.
I opened that door way too wide.
Yeah.
Schematics. Next is the Shran Award for the best action sequence.
I like when Riker blows up the rock.
Oh, okay. Drop your weapon.
Drop your weapon. And they're like, wow, Worf, where'd you come from? Pretty sneaky.
Warrior's instinct. Next is the NX award for some sweet ship stuff.
I guess we get to see more of the bridge.
Okay.
When Picard's kind of walking around the empty bridge, going over and touching panels and stuff. I thought that was pretty good.
Oh, okay, yeah. That's a good scene. He touches like the front thing and then he walks over to the doors and tries to get the doors open. Yeah, that's a good. Yeah. Next is the Porthos Award for the cheesiest thing of the episode.
So it's definitely when Geordi thinks that Tasha is the most beautiful thing he's ever seen.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. It's
such a lame.
So lame.
Lame.
Especially when he's like has the spectacle of like the planet and space and the beauty of it all, and he just turns and he's like, one hot mama though. Like it's a comedy beat at this point, you know?
Yeah.
And lastly, we have the Enterprise Award for the best scene of the episode.
I like when Data is lifting the rocks in the tunnel. Yeah.
I liked it. I like seeing that it was easy for him and hard for Geordi. So that was what Caleb thought of the episode. So now it's your turn to let us know what you thought of the episode. Did you like it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Did you want more of it? Or were you hiding from Q just like us?
I thought, because of the name of the episode, that Picard was going to have to like go find all of the crew members.
Nope. Let us know below.
Next time on Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Next week's episode 11, is entitled Haven. And if you missed Deanna Troi this week, you won't next week.
Good.
So we look forward to that. Perhaps we'll see a familiar face return. But that's next week. So tune in for that. But as always, if you liked the video, like it. If you disliked it, dislike it. Share it with all your friends and family and Trek enthusiasts. Subscribe so you don't miss an episode. And ring that bell. So you don't miss when an episode comes out. After this video ends, make sure you go over to Caleb's channel. Caleb has a fun prop channel. He just released us talking about The Mandalorian Season 1. I've never seen it, so we talk about that.
There's other stuff on there. There's a bunch of videos. Just go watch them.
So if you like Caleb, you like that he's sticking it out through Season 1 of Star Trek: The Next Generation. He's not giving up and saying, please, God, don't do this to me anymore. Go over there. He's just a few public watch hours away from being monetized, so that's always a nice thing to do. A nice treat for Caleb. So find a video, find a playlist, watch it, spend time, and you know what? Better yet than just help him out in some monetary way. Maybe find something on his channel that you like and make it yourself. That'd be the best thing.
Yeah,
people would like that the most. So,
or turn a playlist on and just leave it. Either way.
Either way. So thanks for watching, everybody. We appreciate all the comments, the subscriptions, the views. We know that there's a lot of other choices out there, so we appreciate you clicking on this and watching it.
I mean, this is the best. This is the best choice.
Yeah. You're not going to get a review like this from anyone else.
It's not like any actual Star Trek actors have podcasts about Star Trek, so
stupid.
No, that'd be dumb.
All right, everybody. Until Haven next week. Computer and program. See you guys.